Let me call to order this meeting of the Plain Township Board of Trustees. If everyone will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Of course, we have our agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections by fellow board members or department heads at this time?
I need to remove approval of minutes for July 13th, 2021.
Any other changes? The agenda will stand as amended. Just let the record note at 6:15, no matter where we're at in the meeting, it's going to be a hard stop to transition to the alternative tax budget hearing. So that being said, I know we don't have anything listed for the sheriff's report, but I was going to bring some up. Ryan, I got a call from somebody over in Avondale regarding the Dairy Queen. It's not the same individual. There were a couple of them that were talking. So it's the HOA president. He was asking, hey, what's going on? I'm like, listen, they patrol it. There's only so much that realistically we're able to do, but I wanted to bring it up just so it's on the record, one. But two, have your guys been seeing much in the form of issues over there with the traffic back up onto the road still, or?
They do see it during primary busy times, and they address it when they're over there and they see it going on and make sure that the roadway's not blocked and cars can get through. It does become congested over there due to the drive-through traffic. I don't know, and I defer a little to Sergeant Conant, how maybe that's improved if their diagrams open back up, that maybe that's alleviated a little bit if you do.
At times, like Cap said, it just depends on how busy it is and what day of the week it is. They've gotten better about kind of going to the side of the road and not sitting there in the middle of the lane. So it's gotten a little better, but it still gets congested at times just due to peak business hours.
I mean, Joe, there's nothing else we're able to do it right based on signage.
The only sign you can put up is like no standing. It says no standing, and that means for cars that I've seen around. That would hurt the business of the area.
We'll just get more calls. And they bring it back up just to see if we need to revisit that. Okay. Moving on, unfinished business. I'm going to turn that over to Ms. Campbell.
Thank you. I have one resolution before the board, which is a resolution to rescind nuisance abatement item number 2B from resolution 21-352 Ivydale Avenue Northwest. The public hearing was held on July 27, 2021, where the abatement was given. And now, after considering the nature of the nuisance abatement, this would allow the rescission within the pursuant to Chapter 504 of the Ohio Revised Code.
So moved on unfinished business number 1.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Abstain.
That takes us to new business, and I'm going to turn that over still with Ms. Campbell.
Thank you. Actually, I'll turn this over to our representatives. Yeah, well, how about Chief? You can introduce the representatives from the Stark County Health Department.
Tonight we have Kirk Norris from the Stark County Commissioner of Health Department. We have Amanda and Chris Cagini, and I'm not sure if I know Kay, from the Health Department. And they wanted some time tonight to thank the trustees and the administrator for allowing the fire department to be part of their COVID clinic at Whippledale. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Norris.
Absolutely, Chief, if you could, if it's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know how you run your meetings.
Nope.
Chief, if you'd like to come over here with me. So just appreciation from our department, from the Board of Health, and from everybody, really. It's my pleasure to present you with this plaque and the trustees and your team, because your team was awesome at the Whippledale Center. That memorializes your excellent service, not only to the people of Plain Township, but to the residents of the county, because we vaccinated over around 65,000 residents at the Whippledale Center.
Well done.
Thank you very much. couldn't have done it without you guys, and thank you very much for allowing that to happen. We would have been lost without the team.
Our pleasure.
So thank you very much. Chief, we have certificates here for all of your guys.
Yeah.
And gals.
All right.
If you would like to, I'll let you handle that then.
Yeah, so I just got, I mean, tonight we just have a small sample of the guys
Absolutely,
over there.
but
We
they're all
actually
there.
had almost about 30-some people that, you know, full-time and part-time, that actually worked at the clinic. And, you know, and obviously the board of trustees, when I went to them, I said, hey, we got an opportunity here. And they were on board from the word I said anything, so. And obviously, you guys, you know, let us come in there. I mean, a monumental task on your guys' part. I mean, there's a lot going on at Whippledale besides just us, you know. I mean, just scheduling and all the things to make this COVID stuff hopefully be less of a, you know, in the public here. And these guys, you know, doing a great job when they were there, and made a lot of good friends. Like she was saying, you only see this much of somebody for 6 months, and then you say, oh yeah, I remember you, and then, you know, and you're like, yeah, you know, because, you know, you saw this much of everybody for that much time, and, you know, because everybody wore masks the whole time we were in there, unless you went out for a break or something like that, and did a great job. I mean, everybody compliments of how fast some of the people here actually got shots at the clinic, so they seen how it worked, and you know, how quickly the people went through, and so we were just glad to be part of it, you know.
It was a
you know,
community effort, community event,
so.
volunteers, Plain EMS, Jackson Fire. I mean, it was everybody coming together to do a job that nobody wanted to do. So, but we got it done, and we're moving forward, and let's hope that October, November, and December.
No changes, so.
We'll be
And then I don't know if
closed
the
those 3
trustees had
months.
anything, you know, for the,
Yes, thank you very much.
in reply or anything, if you wanted to.
I'm gonna give some kudos and shout out to Chris Cagini, because honestly, the social media stuff, getting it to Mark and I for the Stark County Township Association. I'm not gonna lie, there were points like, did we not just share something yesterday, like we got another post? But, you know, some of the other elected officials that don't necessarily stay as in tune with it, they would watch that or see the messages that would come out. So I think the social media efforts were definitely beneficial on that front. And then, you know, likewise, just give a shout out to all of our guys who picked up outside of normal work to help make it happen. So
Yeah, so, Kirk, if you actually ask all of them, they actually enjoyed themselves because they got to see a lot of people they haven't seen for a long time. And I'll bet if I heard that once, I heard it 20 times from these guys. Yeah, I saw so-and-so at the clinic, and we got a chance to catch up a little bit. So, you know, it worked out for everybody. But, you know, as you well know, you know, trying to put something like that together, you know, with so many unknowns, and I didn't hear one person complain about that process. When you hear people who complain about everything, that, you know, I mean, they want to complain about everything, and they're like, I can't believe how smooth that was. I got in, I got out, I just can't believe it. And I'm like, well, there's a lot of planning that went into that. So.
Chief, I'll show you my phone log. With everybody that had an issue.
We only heard the positives.
Well, good, that's great.
Sometimes we can't make everybody
that's
happy,
excellent.
but
Oh,
you guys did an excellent job.
well, thank you very
is
much.
that because we reprogrammed our IVR for any?
Is it?
I'm sure that's what it is. We get to being transparent here.
No, but we greatly appreciate y'all, and you guys were, I mean, we had, how many people go down that needed you guys right away? So that's, it couldn't have done it without you. So gracious and very, very proud of your team and your township.
Thank you so
Thank you
much
for coming. That
for
means
coming
a lot.
in. Now, you're all welcome to stay for the rest of the day. If you want, but we
Or you
would
can
certainly
run.
understand if you have other commitments.
Appreciate you, Chief.
Just be the great white ninja right now.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you.
very much.
Have a great evening.
And did you want a picture with, you said, Chris was saying?
Yeah, we can do that.
Yes, they wanted to get a picture with the three trustees.
Oh, you know what,
and
that'd be good for a newsletter.
So,
But if you could be in a tutu.
well, I don't think they want to meet up with you guys.
No, I don't, no picture, obviously. Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
Why don't you do a break?
Honestly, is it beneficial? I mean, the guys are the ones that were.
Yeah,
doing
we'll put all
Maybe
right.
we can get in the back or something and take a backdrop.
Yeah, we're just, we're the
You
guys
guys
who
all
had to say, yeah.
You want this out of here or in there?
I would take it out.
All right, I think it's. Well, actually,
I got it.
yeah, you want there, Tom? You paid the bill.
Yeah, just a picture, Taylor.
Get you a photo op.
All good.
I already know.
All right, there you go. Everybody got a
Yep,
spot?
everybody's
Our
in.
window?
All right.
One of our favorites.
Thanks,
guys.
Chris, you can't make fun of my yellow piece of paper anymore, all right?
I know, all you do is calls.
All right, take care. He made fun of me every time I come in, I sell.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to include new business, it's going to take us to the fiscal officer's report.
Thank you. Fiscal Officer number 1 is a request for resolution to authorize the payment of pending warrants in the amount of $310,784.54.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 2 is a resolution to authorize payment of regular payroll in an amount of $250,000.
So moved. Second. Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 3 is a resolution to authorize payment for the following medical claims.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 4 is the investment report.
Just killer interest rates. If anybody's got questions, feel free to see Tom after.
Fiscal Officer number 5 is a resolution to authorize the following transfers of expenses to the coronavirus relief fund.
So moved.
Second. Brooke, second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 5B is a resolution to authorize the following transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 6 is a resolution to authorize the release of insurance proceeds being retained for a loss caused by a fire on June 13, 2021 at 7379 Middle Branch Avenue Northeast in the amount of $6,666.66. Check is to be made payable to Lawrence R. Mancini. Mr. Mancini will be notified when the check is ready to be picked up as authorized by Fire Safety Inspector Scott Kelly, Division of Inspections and Investigations.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
It's going to take us to the administrator, Ms. Campbell.
Thank you. I have one item tonight, and it's a resolution to authorize payment to Kurtz Brothers for hauling of yard waste not to exceed $2,790 from Fund 01826Y.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes. Takes us to the fire department. Chuck.
Item number 1 is a resolution to accept the resignation of Ethan Lowry.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes. Item number 2 is a resolution by Plain Township Board of Trustees to authorize a uniform allowance blanket in the amount not to exceed $25,000 to be taken from Fund 28806 and 10A09.
So moved. Second, discussion, Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Item number 3 is a resolution by Plain Township Board of Trustees to promote Joshua Short from part-time status to full-time status pending satisfactory completion of the Ohio Police and Fire Medical Physical.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Item number 4 is a resolution by Plain Township Board of Trustees to authorize purchase and payment of 2 McGrath EMS video scopes from Stryker Medical not to exceed $4,700.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
We call that perfect.
Yep.
Good job,
Joe. 6:15.
Pressure was on. All right, so actually, this is, we need to now go to our 6/15/2022 alternative tax budget hearing, and I'm going to turn that over to our fiscal officer, Mr. Wolf.
Thank you. Everyone should have a copy of the draft of the budget. First, I want to thank all the department heads and Lisa for all their help in dealing with our office as we transition through the first budget under the new finance director, and kind of worked out a couple of the kinks along the way. So I have a budget there, and I don't know if anyone has any additional questions other than what's already been asked.
I fielded a bunch of questions from Mr. Haas and Mr. Sabo about specific line items. But typically what we do is hold the budget for this meeting so it gives you time to review even more and then come back with any additional questions because it is a voluminous document.
From a timing though, when do we have to have it to the county?
We'll have time if we do it on the next meeting.
Yeah.
It has to be there
Okay.
at the end of August, so
Okay.
you can always take it down and hand deliver it. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say, some of mine's really just some line item removals that stood out, and then I was trying to understand towards the back, under appropriations, there were a couple cells that highlighted yellow with red fonted numbers. There was no key that necessarily explained what that was, but Lisa gave me a description that was intended as a call-out where it had previously been history of short, so
Right.
department heads can revisit
Yeah.
allocations.
Bring attention to it.
And that was a new addition that Joyce added to the budget this year, which was nice because we all try to keep track all year long. I know we're like, oh, we gotta make a note for the budget next year, but to have it right in front of us really made it a lot easier. So it was a good group effort here this year. The first one's gotta always be the hardest, I'm sure. It's you know, a lot of work, and it was nice to see our team, as usual, come together and really work through it together, so,
Definitely.
yeah.
So next year, when we are transitioned into the new program, will the format of this be the same?
Yeah, the format comes from the county. The difference will be the accounts.
Okay,
Because
yeah.
UAN has a more consolidated chart of accounts, so some of our accounts we have now will be lumped into a single account under UAN.
That's what I thought, so just as an example, when we're looking at miscellaneous Diamond Park, it just jumps out at me, 14A, 8, we've got a bunch of categories.
Right.
So those are gonna obviously have to be shrunk down and condensed to a point where we'll still have a couple different categories, but it won't be as line item specific.
Yeah.
Right, it'll be like one supplies account, so it won't be how we have now, like supplies, tires,
Yeah.
oil.
Yeah.
It'll all be lumped. We can still print the detail, and department heads will still want to track it.
Oh, that's good.
Internally.
That's actually better, yeah.
Yeah, we can create spreadsheets on our side that say supplies, and
Yeah.
we can keep track of, this was tires, this was air filters, we can always get the reports from the fiscal office. But if you look at Rob's budget that he set up for the park levy, you'll see what those funds, what those line items will look at. So his has been completed, it gives the other departments an opportunity to look at that, to get an idea for ours, and then we're gonna meet, we thought probably in September, when we're all done with the budget, with the fiscal team, and just
Pretty
kind of
short
review
and
all of
sweet.
it. It is.
That would, in all fairness though, I mean, I realize we have to go to that format, but I'm speaking as a former department head, it is really nice to be able to see exactly in that
Right.
larger category what those small items
Yeah.
that you have taken money from.
Yeah, they'll definitely have internal
We're gonna,
spreadsheets.
we
Yeah.
talked about
Oh,
internal
perfect.
spreadsheets,
Oh,
and
yeah.
and it's surprising. We thought, you know, this being the auditor state system, that they'd want a more broken out like we do now, and actually it's a more concise,
Especially for audit.
I know.
purposes.
Yeah,
yeah.
because
So that
they're coming in to
surprised us.
look at, okay, all right, you bought tires on this date.
Yeah,
You at least have that categorized, that you can show exactly,
yeah,
right there it is, where now they gotta sort through
yeah,
that whole category of all those
yeah.
invoices.
I used to lecture the department heads and say, listen, if there's something you consistently buy a lot of, let's create a line item for it so you can track it. Now we're going kind of back the
Yeah.
other direction, so it's gonna be really a relearning for all of us.
Well, the thing is, I mean, I don't say this in a derogatory sense, but we need to be able to maintain that, because the last thing we want happening is like something that happened over on the west side of the county in a township with revenues that weren't, I mean, we gotta be able to have that for visibility, accountability, and answering, because, no offense, I sure as hell don't wanna be on the hot seat
Yeah,
answering for, hey, where's $1 million?
yeah.
Okay.
So we have a resolution if you want to continue the hearing.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions, comments? Let's see here.
Unless you feel like you've reviewed it, we don't have to continue it.
Personally, for me, I've already spent more time in it than, adding time to it's not gonna do anything for me,
Yeah.
but it's up to how these other
Because
two
that moves up
feel.
the deadline to file it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am okay too, because, I mean, I've spent a little more time on some of those things that I probably should have. And actually, I got taken to school on a couple things that, you know, that I just took for granted before, but I started asking about the history of it, because just for my own understanding.
You really dusted the cobwebs of my brain today.
Yeah. So I'm good.
And so, let's see here. So I'm gonna make a motion that,
Approve the adoption of.
approve the adoption of the 2022 alternative tax budget.
Second,
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Okay, so that will conclude our alternative tax budget hearing. It brings us back to our regular agenda and pick up with road.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Item number 1 is a resolution by the Board of Trustees to authorize the purchase of culvert pipe from Marlboro Supply not to exceed $3,756.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Item number 2 is an agreement, work agreement that our law director put together for Plain Township and Lawrence and Judy Scott for an installation of storm sewer pipe located at 1622 Snyder Street, Northwest.
So moved.
Second, Brooke. Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Item number 3 is a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees to contract with Underground Services, Inc. for the installation of the new storm sewer at 1622 Snyder for the amount of $16,750.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
And item number 4 is a resolution to authorize purchase and payment to truck salesman service for additional parts needed for dump truck number 3 not to exceed $6,014.87.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yeah.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. It's gonna take us to zoning and actually let the record reflect Tom's out on approved absence. So, Lisa,
Yeah.
coming to you.
Yeah, item number 1 is a resolution to authorize nuisance abatements 1A through 1C.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes. And item number 2 is to authorize payment of nuisance abatements 2A and 2B.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes. And that's the end of the zoning report.
Thank you. It's going to take us to Parks Department, Mr. Steinberg.
Thank you. Item number 1 is a resolution to list the bids for the 2021 Diamond Restroom Project. Bids were received from the following companies attached to and made part of these bids.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Obviously, these, when they came in, were expectedly high. And it's just the nature of the atmosphere around us right now, so. But I think the one that we're gonna be looking at is within reach, easily.
There's 115,000 difference between the two, so I
Yeah.
think one really took their time and
He
Did the
qualified
work.
it, even at the bid opening, he qualified it. He said, my bid is gonna be outrageous. His words, not ours.
fortunately for the grant through, the money's through,
Or
Or
capital.
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 Yeah.
capital, and our COVID funding too.
Yeah.
We'll bridge that gap, so it's totally paid for between our grant mechanisms.
So this is strictly for the listing, so
Yes.
no further discussion, roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Thank you. Item number 2 is a resolution to award the Diamond Park restroom bid. Whereas Plain Township Board of Trustees advertised for bids for the Diamond Park restroom project, and whereas Mike Gruber of Tecton Engineering reviewed the bids, be it hereby resolved the Plain Township Board of Trustees to award the general construction contract to Stanley Miller Construction at a cost of $314,900 and authorize payment amount not to exceed $314,000. It should read $900 from funds 01B, 02, and Fund 14A, 01B.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Abstain.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Item number 3 is a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, whereas the Board of Trustees have awarded a bid for the 2021 Diamond Restroom Project to Stanley Miller Construction, whereas the contract has been prepared according to the terms and conditions of the bid specifications. And be it hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees to authorize the execution of the contract for the 2021 Diamond Restroom Project, the language of which contract is incorporated by the reference as if fully rewritten herein. Be it further resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees authorize payment to Stanley Miller Construction Company upon satisfactory performance of the terms of this contract and according to the following schedule set forth therein to be paid from the funds for 01B, 02, and 14A, 08B.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion,
Yes, we need to correct either the last resolution or this one. One reads 14A08B
I think
and
it's
one reads
01B.
14A01B. So this resolution should read 14A01B.
Eric, before we do roll call, because I abstained on the awarding the bids, follow suit
I
on
would-
signing, because that's
Yes.
another
It's
action.
the payment,
you
yeah.
know. Roll call?
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Thank you. And item number 4 is a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees to hire Robert Johnson as a soccer supervisor at a rate of $10 an hour with no benefits to be paid out of funds 14A01A or Fund 14A01B with a hire date of August 2nd, 2021, pending drug and alcohol testing.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, roll call?
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Thank you. That concludes parks.
Nothing under the law director, nothing under communications. Brings us to portion of the meeting, public speaks. Troy, do you wish to address the board?
I guess I'm,
Could you just
I
state your name
survived.
Just state your name and address for the,
I will. It's Troy Rhodes from 539 Greenmont, Canfield, Ohio, representing Ohio Edison tonight. It's good to see everybody. It's been a while. I've seen y'all virtually, in some of the meetings that you've held. I just thought I'd have an opportunity to stop in, just say hello. I know that in Plain Township, Ohio Edison has roughly about 650 customers. We have 5 streetlights within Plain Township, and I'm not sure if you're aware that there is Ohio Edison does offer an experimental LED streetlight program. With that program, and I've got one copy, and I will send it to you electronically too. The way that program works is that there's 3 options under the tariff rate. That you would switch from your streetlight sodium vapor to a streetlight LED rate. And then there's 3 options on how you can convert those. The first option is it's a capital cost to do that conversion. For those 5 lights, it's roughly about $1,200 to do that. The second option is we'll allow you to finance that over 60 months, and that goes to about $1,400. The third option, because you only have 5 lights, is we convert those as they go out. So in essence, if there is a report that streetlight A is out, Plain Township has signed a contract, we will come out, convert that streetlight to LED, put that on the new LED rate at no cost to you other than the monthly operational fee. And I can send you a form that shows that documentation so that you have that in record. The uniqueness of it is your bill will go up $5, roughly, give or take, and ours fluctuates every month based on the rate. But it's not a savings necessarily. Typically, it's just the different type of light, wherever those street lights are located, and may provide a better light. Typically, those street lights are at intersections. It should provide you a clearer, that whiter light versus what you see out there with sodium vapor. Because you only have 5, Troy Road's External Affairs representative recommendation is, if you go with option 3, which makes the most sense, it depends, it could be today and it could be 2027 before those go. Again, probably not a big deal because it's probably only 1 street light per intersection. It's not like 3 lights at 1 intersection and you've got that type of a mixed look to it. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention that that's out there as far as an opportunity for you guys to convert. Sometime in the 20s here, we're going to have to convert anyway. It's truly up to the township. I'll provide you an electronic document that sort of gives you an estimate of what those actual costs are, the estimations, and those 3 options that go along with that. If you choose to vote and decide to do that transition, there's a contract that we would have you sign that just says, per the option, Plain Township agrees to do the following. And I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Storms, obviously what's going on right now, hot weather, transformers, trips are happening, they're occurring. We're getting the crews out there as quick as we can. Over the last couple of weeks, we've sent crews over to New Jersey to help combat the storms over there, over to the middle state of Pennsylvania to combat some power outages that are over there. So some of our work over here sort of slipped weak. I don't think there's anything going on in Plain Township